So I'll start by speaking about the incident. This is a large and complex incident that has occurred on one of the hottest days of the year. Our fire control team have been dealing with thousands of 999 calls whilst coordinating attendance at other operational incidents across the West Midlands. The tinder dry conditions that the country and the West Midlands are facing at the moment has meant that the fire has spread rapidly despite the 100+ firefighters' best efforts who are on scene and in attendance. Rest assured they are doing everything they can to bring this incident to a safe conclusion. Our thoughts absolutely are with the local community who have been so impacted by this incident and devastated by it. With that in mind, I would say, as a safety message, please to everyone, be absolutely aware about fires starting in this time. The last thing West Midlands Fire Service and my partner agencies need is other fires starting at this time when we're resourcing such a large incident. I can confirm that both West Midlands Police and West Midlands Ambulance Fire Service declared this a major incident. We have support from a number of other fire and rescue services, so my thanks to both Staffordshire and Hereford and Worcester. And I'll finish initially by saying my thank you both to the members of the public who have been here all day supporting us. They've been providing us food and drink and best wishes, and I know that my crews are deeply grateful for that. And then I'll add my thanks to my fire crews who have been working incredibly hard in some of the most challenging conditions I have ever seen in my 28 years of the fire service. I am deeply grateful for all the work they have done. I'm now going to hand over to my ambulance colleague.
Good evening. So today has been an extremely busy day for West Midlands Ambulance Service, with our crews responding to a number of serious incidents and fires across the region. One of those incidents was a wildfire at Norton Road in Stourbridge, where we sent multiple resources, 3 double-crewed ambulances, multiple officers and our hazard area response team to help and support the multi-agency response. 6 people were treated by our crews at the scene. 2 patients have been transported to hospital and 4 patients have been discharged on scene. 2 patients that were transported to hospital were suffering from the effects of smoke inhalation. This was just one of a number of incidents we attended, and I want to pay tribute to our staff for their professionalism, their hard work during what has been an extraordinarily busy day. I also want to thank our colleagues in the fire and police service and the local community. These incidents require a significant multi-agency and community response, and this way our emergency services work together is absolutely what is helping people to get through this very challenging time. With the hot weather and the conditions continuing, we would urge everyone to take extra care and think carefully about the risks involving that could potentially cause a fire. Thank you very much. Just pass over to my police colleague.
Thank you. From a police perspective, we are going to do our best. I'd like to reassure the community of Stourbridge and the wider West Midlands we're going to do our absolute best to service their business as usual policing needs. However, as you can understand, we are experiencing very, very high demands, assisting our colleagues in this multi-agency response. What I would ask the public is, where possible, if they can only ring 999 to speak to the police where absolutely necessary, and where possible, if they can use our other non-emergency means of contacting the police, our non-emergency 101 number and our single online service to contact us if that's possible. And apart from that, just I'd like to thank the public again for their response, but also to keep up the common sense approach, not to come down to the scene, not to try and go back to homes unless the all clear has been given, so we can keep everybody safe and resolve this as soon as we can.
Thank you. I'll just finish by saying once again thank you to my police and ambulance colleagues for everything they've done. This has been one of the most significant incidents that West Midlands Fire Service has ever attended. The devastation is extensive. We understand the impact that will have on the residents and the local community. We want to reassure everyone we will do everything we can to minimise that and of course get people back into their homes. However, it is the case that emergency service presence here will likely run in 2 days, and that means unfortunately asking people to stay away for that period. Thank you very much. We're happy to take a few questions.
Do you know how many homes are currently evacuated and how many people that is impacting? Can you give any steer as to how long that might go on for? Can people get back in tonight at all?
We know certainly that it has spread to a number of properties. At this stage, I'm unable to give an exact number. As I said, my colleagues have been working in amazingly challenging conditions, trying to extinguish a fire that was moving very rapidly from the first fire engine that got here to the appliances that are here now. So I can't give you an exact number, I'm afraid. And as soon as we can, we will then start to circulate that.
Hi, ITV News. We heard earlier from the local MP that they thought about 20 to 30 homes have been burned. Would you say that's the accurate number?
As I said to your colleague, I'm unable to commit to the number of homes that have been damaged yet. We are doing everything we can to save them. As soon as I can give you a firm number, then I will do that.
Is there any indication of how the fire started?
At this stage, too early to say. Of course, we will carry out a joint investigation with police colleagues and our specialist fire investigation team. They will be here on scene as soon as they can to start investigating the possible cause.
Do you know where it started?
We think at this moment the fire started not in one of the homes and spread to the fields, but from the grassland and into the homes.
Have you got all of the resources that you need? Have you been in contact with national bodies in London? Have they offered you any additional services?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an extensive amount of resources here, around 20 fire engines here, as I said, both from the West Midlands and our neighbouring fire and rescue services. We have been in contact both with national colleagues via National Resilience and indeed into central government to update both central government and the Prime Minister, but also the West Midlands Mayor as well, so that they're aware of the situation. It does mean that West Midlands Fire Service will be calling in additional support from other fire and rescue services over the coming period to make sure that we can also resource the other incidents, of which there are many across the whole of West Midlands.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yes, to the homes.
Have you got all of the resources that you need? Have you been in contact with national bodies in London? Have they offered you any additional services?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have an extensive amount of resources here, around 20 fire engines here, as I said, both from the West Midlands and our neighbouring fire and rescue services. We have been in contact both with national colleagues as well, so that they're aware of the situation. It does mean that West Midlands Fire Service will be calling in additional support from other fire and rescue services over the coming period to make sure that we can also resource the other incidents, of which there are many across the whole of the West Midlands at the moment.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That's the presser at Stourbridge with someone from West Midlands Police, West Midlands Ambulance Service, and also Simon Tuhill from West Midlands Fire Service. And I just want to bring you some of the things he said. It's the most challenging conditions he had seen in 28 years in the fire service, and one of the most significant fires they've had to fight, the West Midlands Fire Service, in their history. So that just gives you an idea of the scale of this fire that we can see now, and the massive operation that they had to undertake to get that fire under control. Let's cross now to Richard Parker, who is the Mayor of West Midlands. Thank you very much for joining us. And you will have heard some of that press conference there. Can I just get your reaction to what happened today, and that it basically was a huge fire that was initially a wildfire, but now then went on to affect residential homes?
Yeah, indeed, and thank you for inviting me on. I've spoken to the Chief Fire Officer a number of times this afternoon and early this evening. I'm due to speak to him, actually, as soon as I finish this interview. I was made aware of a fire adjacent to the golf course and a railway line running very close to Stourbridge Town Centre early this afternoon, and then got updated as events proceeded. But it's a really very serious situation. The fire service have been fighting multiple fires across the region this afternoon, of which Stourbridge is the largest, the most significant, as indeed the Chief Fire Officer has said, the largest and most significant and most challenging that he's faced in his professional career in the service.
I was speaking to someone who actually hadn't been evacuated, but she was on one of the streets near to the people who were evacuated earlier. They were told to shut their windows, to stay in the house. She had a teenage daughter who had to stay in. It was a really worrying time for them. What's your message to those people, but also the people who have been evacuated? And some of those people, as we can see, have lost their homes. What would you say to them?
Look, my heart goes out to them. I think the priority at the moment is to ensure people are kept safe and that they take the appropriate measures to remain as safe as possible, follow the advice that the emergency service is giving them. I'll plan to visit the area tomorrow to speak to some people on the ground there. I don't want to get in the way of the important work going on this evening, but I want to know they have my full support, and I'll be working with the local authorities and others across the region to see what we can do to support them at this really difficult time. And I'd also like to convey a message to them from the Prime Minister I spoke to earlier this evening that has asked me if the fire service on the ground need additional support, and I'll be speaking to the Chief Fire Officer a bit later to ask him what we can do. But also I want to convey to the people of Stourbridge and those affected that the Prime Minister and the government are on their side, and we will do all we can to ensure that that they get the support they need at this really, really difficult time.
I mean, those are all good words. It's a great message, but what are you actually going to be asking for from the Prime Minister and the government?
Well, at the moment, I think the priority is to ensure that the emergency services get the support they need in the immediate period.
What does that look like? More money? What is that?
Well, I think, if you don't mind me saying, I think it does depend and will be dependent on what the Chief Fire Officer and others say to me, and I'll be relaying that message. I'm not going to second guess them. They are the professionals on the ground. The Chief Fire Officer has talked about wanting more support from other fire services in the region. That's important. That will result in additional costs, and we need to make sure those are fully and properly met and the emergency services get the right support. We also will want to ensure that the community in Stourbridge and those that have had their lives turned upside down by this event get all the support that they need too.
We've heard of wildfires right across the country throughout the summer, but now we are seeing residential homes being affected. Earlier we were reporting, I don't know if this is in your region that you cover, but there was Stratford-upon-Avon, there was another wildfire. Potentially there could be more wildfires in your region. What are your concerns going forward? Because this feels like the new normal. This is going to be confronting us next summer and the summer after that.
Oh, indeed. And I caught an interview a bit earlier with Kat Eccles, the local MP, who's a good friend of mine. I think she answered this question really appropriately. Look, we are facing enormous pressures on our utilities and our wider ecosystem as a result of climate change. And we've been made aware of these issues through scientists and experts for decades now. And I think it's not just our response in this UK, but I think it's pretty clear the global response to these challenges needs to be upped a great deal. These are very serious events that are becoming the norm, and they're impacting on our communities, on our daily life, on our agriculture, and we need to face up to this very, very quickly and start to address those issues that are driving climate change and having such a devastating impact on our communities, and including those in Stourbridge this evening. I think most recently we've been watching these events in Europe, in Western Europe, in parts of the US, and perhaps a number of people here that deny the challenges we face have somehow felt that it wouldn't happen here. It's not only happening here; it's happening on the doorstep my doorstep here in the West Midlands.
So you'll be seeing Simon Tuhill, you mentioned, I think, the Chief Fire Officer of West Midlands Fire Service a little bit later. I think you said after this interview. One of the things he said was that he was thanking lots of people, of course his staff, but members of the public who had brought meals and drinks to his firefighters, and he was incredibly grateful for that. I suppose it's at times like this that people pull together in a community, and we hear so much about modern society being fragmented and everybody's looking at their phones in their individual sort of silos. But times like this, it shows community strength. Can you tell us a bit about the community of Stourbridge and why they are helping so much?
Yeah, look, firstly, I want to take this opportunity to thank Simon and his team for their bravery. They've been truly heroic today, in particular, in the way they've put their bodies on the line to keep people safe. And also, I know Simon, when I spoke to him a bit earlier, was also wanted me to thank the other emergency services on his behalf. Unknown caller. Sorry, I lost you there. Simon also wanted me to thank the other emergency services on his behalf. But for the people of Stourbridge, it's a very tight-knit community, and I know the people there are incredibly resilient and will all pull together at this difficult time. That's what they have done. But they will also need a great deal of support and help and assistance in the aftermath of this incident. And I've got to make sure, working with the local authority in Dudley and with other community leaders across Stourbridge and the Black Country, that the community affected by this get the support they need so they can get on with their lives at the appropriate time.
Well, Richard Parker, thank you very much for joining us and bringing us that update on what you are doing and just giving us an insight into the people of Stourbridge, who it seems have been incredibly helpful to the emergency services there amid what we are seeing on the screen is a really, really tough time. So thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Well, there we are. That was Richard Parker, the Mayor of West Midlands, talking about this scene, these scenes here that we're seeing in Stourbridge. A wildfire at a golf course, spreading, the flames leaping over a road and affecting a residential area of Stourbridge. We'll have much more on this coming up on Sky News.